Hello, welcome to Jen's Jungle. I am Jen and this is my jungle. All right, so it has been 6 weeks now exactly since I've been air layering my Monstera, my Albo. And I feel pretty confident of going ahead and snipping the plant, and I kind of also want to experiment. So I've got sphagnum moss right here. I've kind of moistened it already in water, and then I also want to try perlite. I've done sphagnum moss before, but I've never done perlite, and I'm really curious to see how it goes. So this is also moistened. Both mediums are not sopping wet, they're just moist. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so yeah, 6 weeks ago, wanted to air layer my Albo. One of my friends is gonna be getting this top part, and it's already got a nice growth point on here. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. But I haven't actually checked the roots with the holidays and everything. Today is the last day of 2020 actually, and with the holidays and everything, I've kind of put this on the back burner, and hopefully it's still doing okay. Looks to be okay. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and unwrap this, and hopefully it's doing good. So let's go ahead and unwrap. I'm really excited to see the variegation on this new baby coming up. All right. And I'll bring you guys up close once I get this unraveled. This has been exciting for this to root. I'm excited to see how it's doing. Looks to be okay so far. Try not to make a mess. Oh, there's new roots. Oh, this looks good. So I could continue with this air layering, but like I said, I kind of want to experiment with the perlite. And if you don't know, perlite is, I guess, a volcanic rock, and it gets heated in super high heat, and that makes it pop and poof into the white finished product. Okay. Put that there. And this looks pretty good. So I'm gonna take the rest, I'm gonna peel the rest of the, sorry, you can't see this. I don't want to break this other leaf, but there's a lot of new roots there that wasn't there before. I don't feel comfortable cutting this off and then plopping it in soil medium right away. I want the roots to get a little bigger, but I do feel confident going ahead and clipping it off and putting it in either the sphagnum moss or the perlite. I think I will put this first cutting into sphagnum moss because I have done that before with sphagnum moss and was very successful with that one. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll get the rest of this off, and then I will show you guys the new roots that sprouted. I'm probably gonna cut it right about here. Not super duper close to the next node, but kind of close, just in case that there's rot that happens to, I don't know, happen here, then I can always cut the rot off if it happens, hopefully not. But yeah, that's where, about right there is where I'm gonna cut it. All right, so now I am ready to give it a cut. I've got my clean knife. It always makes me nervous to do this, but I'm just gonna do it. Okay. So like I said, I'm gonna cut not smack dab next to the next node below this one, but kind of close to it. That way I have a little bit of an insurance just in case of rot. when I do continue to propagate this and root this. So here is, and also before I make the cutting, you want to make sure the growth point on here is pretty obvious, right? And the next one has a very obvious growth point also, but if for some reason bud isn't poking up yet, you want to make sure there's this thing that's called an eye, and you want to make sure you don't cut that, so that way your next cutting or your next plant that you want to propagate has a growth point for a new leaf, a new bud to come out. So you always want to make sure before you do the any cutting or slicing that you're not cutting through that growth point. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut here. Hopefully all this is making sense. That should not have been that hard. Okay, so here it is. Can you guys see the lovely, beautiful roots? Oh, so excited. And here's the new leaf that's coming out. So this one's got 2 aerial roots and they look really good. What I would normally do is let this sit out for an hour or so, just so the fresh cut can dry up a little bit. But I'm gonna pretend that I already did that. And the next step after letting this dry for about an hour or so is this tea light candle. So what you would do is light it, of course, let it kind of melt a little bit, and then dip the dried cutting into the melted wax. That way it kind of covers that up a little bit, the opening, and it's not guaranteed, but it could prevent some root rot. So just a plain old tea light candle, light it up, let it melt, stick the dried cutting on there just to cover it up with wax. And for the sake of the video, I'm gonna pretend that I already did all that, and we're gonna go ahead and plant it or stick it in moss. So I've got my moist, I've got a net pot right here. I like this because it allows for air to flow through. Again, with a root rot, I'm so paranoid about root rot. So this one helps with, the net pot helps with that, to keep oxygen flowing through in the airflow, and that way it kind of gives it a little bit of chance to kind of air out a little bit, rather than putting it in just a regular pot with just a few holes at the bottom. And yeah, so again, your sphagnum moss is not soaking wet, so this one's just moist. If I squeeze it, there's no water wringing out of it. I'm gonna just take my net pot, stick some moss at the bottom of it, just like so. And then I'm gonna stick my cutting in there, just like that. And I'm gonna cover it. Again, this is after I normally would let the cutting dry out for about an hour. That way it can kind of callus over the fresh wound. And then I would light up a tea light and cover the end with, what do you call it? Wax. So all I'm doing is covering up, wringing out some of this moss so it's not sopping wet. So just covering it up loosely. And that's pretty much it. that is it. I'm probably gonna leave this, hopefully in about a week. It's gonna be, the roots are gonna be even bigger, should be, in theory anyway. But that is one right there, sphagnum moss. And I'm gonna cut this next one here and check out the roots, see how it looks, and put this one, this next cutting, in perlite. Okay, so I am cutting the next leaf. Almost there. That was scary. Okay, so here's the next cutting. There's the, right there, got the new growth coming in and got new roots. And there too. So yes, I would do the same thing. I would cap this off with some melted candle, and I would just dip that in there once it melts. And again, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and pretend that I've done that already. I am going to grab my other net pot right here. Stick this over here. Okay. So I've got the perlite. I'm gonna put this one here for now. And this is, again, it's not soaking wet. It's just moist. It's just a little wet. It's sticking a little bit, but it's definitely not wet. If I squeeze it, there won't be any water coming out of it. I'm gonna pour some at the bottom. And I will seal this with wax later, but just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna stick it in here now. And all I'm gonna do is pour, sorry you guys can't see this. I'm just basically pouring right on top. Just covering up the roots. And that is pretty much it. The growth point is still there. You can still see it. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And now I've got these two cuttings. One in sphagnum moss and then one in perlite. I will update you guys in a week or two and see. We'll check back on this every few days or every week to see how it's going. But yeah, I'll update you guys on these two beautiful, look at the leaves, they're just so beautiful, just beautiful. And this one here too. I love it. All right, well that is it for now. I'll finish off. I'm gonna pluck these back out and I will let this sit out for about an hour or so. That way the ends can dry up, and then I will light up my tea light candle and dip the ends in the wax. That way it'll cover that up and prevent some root rot from happening, but shouldn't be a problem though. I mean, these aren't soaked. I'll check on them, make sure that they're moist every couple days and moisten them if I need to. But yeah, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe, to like, and even share this video. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks probably. All right, have a great day and Happy New Year. Today is the last day of 2020, so this video probably won't happen for another couple weeks because I still have to edit. But anyway, I will follow up in a couple weeks and show you guys what's going on with these two cuttings. All right, have a good one.